Hello, welcome to Bob's Dungeon. My name is Bob, I'll be your host. And in this video, we're going to continue our look at some alternative miniatures for your role-playing game. Last time we started looking at some miniature Transformers figures to use for your Transformers role-playing game or other mecha and robot adjacent games. So in this video, we're going to continue that because I've had to break them up, my Transformers, in the smaller sections because I have so many of them. The last time we looked at all the MicroMasters I have left from Generation 1, the Generation 1 toy line. And at the end of the Generation toy line, about the only thing there was left is MicroMasters and some assorted Pretenders before they got rid of the whole transforming robot thing and went to Action Masters, which were Transformer figures that did not transform but had weapons that transform. It's kind of weird. But then they, after Transformers went away for a while after the Action Masters, they came back and did new things with Generation 2 and then Beast Wars and so on. But it wasn't until the Transformers Armada line before we got MicroMaster sized Transformers again. But now they are no longer called MicroMasters. They're now called Minicons. And all the really small Transformers of that size from then on were called Minicons, regardless of what line it was. And the Armada line was part of a trilogy called the Unicron trilogy, which consisted of Armada, Energon, and Cybertron. So I've broken up my Minicons from that era into a couple of categories. This first category that we're going to look at is the ones that I have that actually came with a larger Transformer, and some of them that are smaller but kind of basic and don't really have an action feature by themselves. The next one, we'll get into that, but let's go ahead and look at what I got. Okay, the first thing we're going to look at here is not one of the Minicons. He is one of the regular Armada figures. This is a character called Cyclonus, and you could actually use him in your tabletop role-playing game for a miniature if you're wanting like a really huge figure. But the reason I got him out, and excuse him being so dusty, he's been on a shelf that was not dusted for a long time. But the reason I got him out was so I can show off the special action feature that the Minicons were used for in this toy line. And we'll get to that. But first, we'll start off with Cyclonus' own Minicon. I can't remember what his Minicon's name is, but he's a lump of pretty basic. And as you can see, there is not much articulation here. He can move his arms. He can take a setting pose, and he can bend at the knees. And that's it on his articulation. His transformation is pretty simple. You point the cannon that way, turn his waist around, and bend his knees. And you can have him like that, or you can put him like that. Either way you want. I think it looks a little bit better like that, but that's just me. It's got this little switch on the back, which will move the cannon a little bit. And that'll be important when he connects to Cyclonus, when Cyclonus is in his helicopter mode. But we'll get to that in a minute. And as you can see, he's got this indentation here. Now, he hooks up into Cyclonus and actually makes the helicopter mode look a lot better than it does on its own. But he's got this thing here, the circle with this tab inside. And what that is is regular characters in the line, they have these ports. And you plug the Minicons onto the port and you get an action feature. For this one on his arm, it launches the missile. And it didn't launch out very far, but you get the idea. And it also has some, they have these gun ports. And when you plug them into the gun ports, the guns pop out. Like that. And then, of course, you have a few ports, which I don't see any more on him, but some of them had extra ports, so you could put more Minicons on them. And the ports don't do anything, they just allow them to store more Minicons. So, Cyclonus, in his helicopter mode, he's pretty easy to transform. And that's his helicopter mode. Pretty much, well, other than folding in the arms, which I forgot to do. There. And he had this action gimmick where you pull this trigger here and it spins his helicopter blades. Now that's important because that trigger also moves these gears here. And some of the Minicons have these gear things, so when they plug into it, they've got gears themselves and they have moving bits. You get the helicopter transformed into helicopter mode. Right? Cyclonus transformed into helicopter mode. You open this front bit up and plug in the Minicon. Just like that. And it looks better like that, I think. But they all had little features like that. And the next one we're going to look at is this guy. And this is the Minicon that came with a bot called Demolisher. And there's not much articulation to him. He can bend at the waist and then his arms can move. His transformation is very simple. You put his legs in like that. You lift this little radar dish and you put his arms back so that he's this double-barreled tank thing. He's pretty neat. And he'll plug in. He's got the port. The next one we're going to look at. This one, I remember his name. His name is Swindle. And he comes with Armada Starscream. And he doesn't have very much articulation at all. He can move his arms kind of like that. And his legs doesn't move too much. But his transformation is pretty easy. You just push that shield up like that. Close his legs. Flip his feet up. And move his arms to the side. And he's a Formula 1 race car. Which is pretty neat. And the last one that I got that belongs to a bot is this guy right here. And he belongs to Unicron. And Unicron's got a little indentation for him to plug into. He's got a lot of articulation, as you can see. He's got a big laser hand. But he can move at the elbows, shoulders, take a sitting position. His knees can move. So he's got some pretty good articulation. His transformation is pretty easy. Well, a little weird. You turn the arms like that. Fold them in. He also swivels in a weird way. But move his arms like that. Swivel him. And you got the one end together. His feet flip down. And then they spin. And then his legs just fold in. And you got this ball, and you can bring the laser out. So that's pretty nifty. The next one we're going to look at is this guy here. And he transforms into a combat vehicle. And he's pretty neat. He's got this missile. You push here and it fires. This is a pretty neat design. And he's got a weird transformation that's kind of unique to him. You move his head out and then turn his body like that. You turn that half there and plug it in to the other side. You turn that up like that and plug it into this side. And there he is, a missile truck. And the neat part about these is they're so small you can use them in either mode on your game board. Next one is another combat one, and he's pretty simple. He's got arm articulation. Not much articulation legs except for the knees, which is pretty neat. But you bend the knees, fold the arms up, plug these little holes into these little pegs here. And you have a missile truck again. And it's the same type of missile. You push on the back here, and it, well, supposedly fires out. These are pretty old. And he's got the port to plug him in to a bot. And then you got this guy. Now, these three came in a pack together. And that's normally how you bought your Minicons, is in a 3-pack. But he's pretty easy. You move his arms into position like that at the side. You flip his head up, well, flip the missile up and it tucks his head. Turn the body like that, well, and fold the legs in. And again, this guy is an armored missile truck. And unlike the others, he's actually got a button to launch his missile, and for some reason, I guess this, I don't know, the missiles don't work as well as they used to. But now we got 3 little cars, and these were neat. These guys had a lot of articulation for as small as they are. The only problem is that they fall apart a lot, but they go back together pretty easily. And like I said, they're pretty good to use as miniatures if you can get them to stand up. But the transformations are pretty weird for their size. On him, you just flip the hood up. You turn the arms facing up, and they slide down and in on both sides. I can get him to do it. There we go. Then you turn his waist around. Put his feet down. And push them together. You got a neat little car. And another one that came in his set was this guy here. I think this is my favorite out of the 3 in the set. But his transformation is pretty good. He's got, like I said, they got a lot of articulation, but they pop apart pretty easily. But given how small they are and that they just go right back together, it's pretty good. But You fold the back, the front of the bot. You fold the bot's chest up. You move his arms to the top, like that. You turn his waist. You flip the doors back. You put the feet into position. Squeeze it together. Push him back. And you got this really neat looking blue core. Port to plug him in. Finally, last one we're going to look at is this orange guy here. And I'm sorry I can't remember a lot of their names, but it's okay. You got his port on his leg. But he's not that bad. You flip his head down. Move that up like that. Put his arms in. Push his legs together. And then push them together. If he'll go together. There we go. And you got a little orange car. And like I said, these guys are small enough that you can use them in either form on your game board for playing your Transformers game or your other robot game. And that's a very cool thing. They're very detailed, so that works too. There's a lot of advances between these and the old Micromasters from G1. And that was my look at some Minicons from the Armada line. I've got some more Minicons, and we'll look at the rest of them in another video. But I had to break everything, all my little Transformers like this up into several videos, so the videos wouldn't be a big massive mess. But these are small enough that you can use them in your tabletop role-playing game as miniatures, and you can paint them up. Now, you could probably find these ones on the internet to order and buy, or you could find them at a thrift store or a flea market, if you will. And I do know they do make knockoffs of these that come out every now and again, so you could probably find those. And they have varying qualities to them, depending on what your needs are for your game. And you can paint them up and do what you want. But anyway, thank you for joining me at a look at these alternative miniatures for your Transformers or other robot tabletop role-playing game. And hopefully you'll join me next time where we'll talk about something else. Bye.